All right, everybody. I've got 3:01, so I'm going to go ahead and get us started. Thank you for attending the August meeting of the DuPage ROSC Council. My name is Jared Burton. I am the coordinator for the DuPage ROSC, and importantly, I'm a person in long-term recovery from substance use. Thank you to everybody for attending. Just a couple of housekeeping things at the beginning. We ask that you please make sure to have your microphones muted unless you're speaking. We will have time for everybody to chip in a little bit later. If there's a pressing question or comment you need, just raise your tiny digital hand and I'll do my best to see it and we'll get you on. But that just helps avoid interruptions and things. So thank you. The past few months, like maybe 3 months, we've been doing like in-person like introductions. Everyone's going around. Today's meeting is really kind of jam-packed. So for this meeting, we're going to skip the introduction part. However, I would appreciate it if everybody could put in the chat their name, organization, if you're with an organization, and maybe the best way to contact you. Those of you who are part of our WhatsApp referral group know that connecting with each other is the best way that we can kind of collaborate and get work done. And Danny is going to fill us in on that a little bit later. But yeah, go ahead and put your name in the chat and that way we can keep some attendance that way too. So I'm going to go ahead and share the screen and we can start looking at some things. All right, can everybody see that? Get a thumbs up. All right, thumbs up. Okay, so in just a minute here, we're going to preview upcoming meetings, trainings, and events. Those of you who work in the field know August is crazy. August is Overdose Awareness Month, so there are a ton of events. There's a ton of programs and things that are happening. So we'll try to take a look at all of those. Danny will do the WhatsApp referral group update after that. And then today we are lucky to have 2 guests. So the first guest is going to be my friend Jim Murphy, who runs the Hope Outreach Foundation, amongst a million other recovery related things in DuPage County. And I'm really thrilled to have him here to talk to us about that. And then Jackie Powlawski, who's the Illinois branch manager of End Overdose, which is actually a national organization that's committed to helping stop overdose through education and events and also distribution of harm reduction materials. So we're glad to have her here to talk to us on that important month. At the end, we always leave time for organizational updates. So we want to hear what you're working on. What are your events? How can we help out? And then at the very end, we're going to do a very brief, depending on the time, roundup of what our other ROSC in Region 2 are doing. So we can see what our neighbors up here in Northern Illinois are working on. So let's talk some events. First up, next week, we are back from summer vacation for the DuPage ROSC presentation series. These are monthly presentations. These take place on the 3rd Wednesday of every month at 10 a.m. and these are Zoom only. And the point of starting these was to be able to have a little bit more time to dig into some of the subject matter. At the council meetings, we love our presenters, but sometimes they only get maybe 10, 15, 20 minutes. This is a full 45-minute to an hour presentation. Usually always something related to substance use or mental health. And that this month, now that we're back, we were off in July. Really happy to have our own Danny Sorbis talk to us about sex addiction and recovery, which if you've worked with clients in this field, sometimes you can tell that's a big overlap. There's a lot of cross addictions going on, and I guarantee you will leave this presentation knowing a lot more about some of the struggles that some of us have with that stuff. So 3rd Wednesday of every month at 10 a.m. So join us for that, and that is Zoom only. Also, DURCO, DuPage Recovery Community Organization. We have our monthly virtual Narcan training. I'm going to try to say this without stuttering. The 3rd Thursday of every month at 3:30. We do the virtual Narcan training. It's a really good primer for people who have never had any kind of Narcan exposure or training, but at the same time, it's also a good way to kind of keep current on what some of the trends we're seeing as far as overdose goes. And you can also connect with us at those trainings to find out how you can get harm reduction materials from us. So 3rd Thursday of every month. And I usually put this in the emails and post it on the Facebook and things like that. I already mentioned overdose awareness. So there's 2 big ones coming up that Serenity House, ROSC, and RCO are working on. The first one, is a Wednesday, August 30th, 6 to 9 p.m. Last year, we were really thrilled to take part in this one at the Glendale Heights Police Department. We are back again this year, and this is a celebration of life through art and music. There's also going to be speakers. There's going to be art. We're looking for art pieces from people who are in recovery. It's really just going to be a nice celebration, and that's over in the Veterans Memorial area in Glendale Heights on August 30th. We hope you can make it out to that one. And then, of course, there's the one here at Serenity House. So that's actually on Thursday, August 31st, 6:30 to 8:30. Again, just a celebration and honoring honoring those that we've lost to overdose. And we're going to have all kinds of things. Art, we're going to have art that people who are here can do. We're going to have resource tables. We're going to have refreshments. The Center Cup coffee truck is coming back. But in addition to that, Eternal Buzz Cafe is going to be nice enough to stop and make us their homemade gelato and scones and all kinds of amazing food. So we hope you can make it to that one Thursday, August 31st at 6:30. I see a hand raised. Jackie.
Hi, yes, I was just wondering if by chance you could like email this like little thing to me so I could post it on our Instagram.
Yeah, of course. I'll make sure I send that to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. A couple more events that are coming up, not this Saturday, but the following Saturday, August 19th. It is now officially the annual DuPage ROSC picnic. We did the first one last year. So this is year 2. We are doing it again over in Churchill Woods Forest Preserve in Lombard. It's going from 11 to 3. We provide a lot of the food. So Ross is going to pay for like burgers and hot dogs and drinks and all kinds of stuff. If you would like to bring some food to share with people, we would love for you to do that. But we're going to have music, games, good fellowship. We had a nice turnout last year, so we would love to see you back again this year. So that's Saturday, August 19th. Here's another big one, not only for Ross, but for Serenity House. The annual pancake breakfast. This is going to be on Saturday, September 30th. We've been doing this for years. It's something we really love doing here at Serenity House. We always have some kind of fun raffles. We usually have gift basket raffles in addition to 50-50 raffles. And I will say, you too can win. My parents won the 50-50 last year, and they turned and donated it back to Serenity, which was nice of them. But breakfast starts at 8. It's all you can eat for $5. In addition to that, we're doing an Narcan training and then a recovery speaker at 10. So we hope you can make it out to that one. A couple more things, and then we'll move on. Just some meetings that I like to talk about during the housekeeping part. If you're looking for something for some support for grief, so a processing group for anybody who's lost someone, maybe to substance use, the second and fourth Thursday of every month at 7:30, Felicia Maselli does our Connection Through Loss group. So that's up here at Serenity House in Addison. So if this is something that you might benefit from, or maybe you have somebody in your life who is trying to process grief through the loss of someone, we would love to have them come up and see us and take part in that group. Very friendly group. You'd be more than welcome to come. So that's the second and fourth Thursday. And lastly, the Friends and Family Smart Recovery Meeting. That's on Thursdays, 6 to 7 p.m. at Serenity. I don't know if you're familiar with Smart Recovery. If you are, and you've got a friend or family member who is maybe trying to get a little bit more involved in the recovery process, or maybe learn about it, come and see us in Serenity House on Thursdays from 6 to 7 p.m. So I'm going to stop sharing for a second. All right, so I got a bunch of that housekeeping out of the way. The next thing I want to do is turn it over to Danny Sorbis, who's going to kind of walk through what the DuPage ROSC referral WhatsApp chat is, kind of some of the things we've been working on and how you can get involved. So Danny, I'm going to turn it over to you now.
Sounds good. Thanks, Jared. And hi, everyone. Here's this month's WhatsApp update. Thanks to everyone who's been a part of it, because we now have over 48 members. We've been joined by members from the following organizations: Stony Brook, Sauk Valley Voices of Recovery, Heart Life Ministries, Existential Counselor Society, and Acadia Healthcare. So over the last month, we received referrals for detox and residential treatment for substance use disorder, inpatient treatment, virtual IOP and PHP, evening IOP, shelters, and sober living. I also want to mention that the word is out. There are other counties who are currently working to put out their own WhatsApp referral group. So stay tuned and I will let you guys know how that goes. As always, I always want to share a couple examples of how our team received a referral and how we work together to provide support and referrals, just so you can see what the process is for us. The first one, a little lengthy. An adult female was currently in acute care facility to regain strength and mobility after a pretty bad detox. She was at the facility for a long time without any sort of programming, and her family wanted her to be in the clinical residential program after she recovered physically. Her insurance was managed Medicaid and Blue Cross Blue Shield. The hope was to find a virtual IOP or PHP program while she was recovering physically, and to go to clinical residential afterwards. However, it had been noted and acknowledged she may not meet insurance criteria for clinical residential when she was physically healed. So they were open to the possibility of extended residential care if criteria was not met for clinical residential care. So representatives from DuPage ROSC, Serenity House, Recovery Centers of America, Ascension, Illinois, and Rosecrans worked together to provide referrals for Rosecrans Virtual IOP, Ascension, Illinois Virtual IOP, and if unable to meet criteria for clinical residential, once ADLs were independent, Serenity House for extended residential level care. And the second example I'm going to give is an adult male with Blue Cross Blue Shield Medicaid needing detox and 30-day clinical residential program for substance use disorder of alcohol, opioids, and cocaine. Representatives from Central DuPage Hospital, Greater Family Health, Recovery Centers of America, and Rosecrans worked together to provide referrals for Rosecrans, Abraxas for residential, Good Sam for detox, CDH for detox, and Existential Conscious Society for residential. So that's kind of what it would look like. I'm going to send right now a message in the chat. So if you're interested in joining or getting more information about our WhatsApp referral group, feel free to email me.
Thanks, Danny. The reason we always give examples of the different types of people and the different types of referrals that come up is just to kind of give you a feeling or a feel for the types of referral help you can get in there. It really is just a group of, 40 plus now, which is crazy to me, that are kind of working together to help people who might be falling through the cracks of services. So if you're ever stumped on a referral, if you've got a friend or family member or just somebody who might need some kind of recovery services, you can join that WhatsApp. It's really painless process. Danny can walk you through it, and you can help us out and we can help you out with whatever types of recovery referrals you're looking for. So he put his info in the chat. You can reach out to him for that. Okay, with all of that stuff out of the way, I wanted to invite up Jim Murphy. So I told him I wouldn't do a big flowery introduction because he hates it when I do that. I did an introduction for him when he got a plaque about a year and a half ago. And, there's not enough I could say about Jim. I've known Jim for a few years now. If you've been in recovery in DuPage County, chances are you know him too. He's been involved in Serenity House in some way, shape, or form since the very beginning, since back when it was an actual little house. And I'm honored to know him as a person, but also as somebody I work with. Murph and I have been going up to the jails on Sunday for over a year now, and I've really enjoyed getting to do that with him. If you know him, you know that one of the passions in his life is the organization that he runs called the Hope Outreach Foundation. Hope Outreach has been doing retreats, spiritual 12-step retreats for how many years now? Flip that microphone on.
Hey, Jared. Hope Outreach has been in existence since 2007. I founded a not-for-profit organization, and we've been running off of that ever since, but I've been doing the retreat since 1996. And I had a sum of money on my amends list that I couldn't repay. So it was about $3,000 that I took and paid for people to come on these retreats because of an experience that I had early on in my recovery, and it paid down and then some. So I just love what has been brought into my life as a result of this process, especially the Serenity House. I was very new, probably 2 weeks sober at my second attempt at this program. And I was in need of a meeting, and it was a Tuesday night meeting at the old farmhouse here. And I was up and down 53. They didn't have cell phones then. I went to the Shell gas station, the Shell gas station, back and forth. And they go, no, you passed it. No, you passed it. About 3-4 times. And they go, at the industrial section, turn right, or turn in. And I did. And I found it finally. And I told Henry when he was around that the motto for Serenity House should be serenity, hard to find, but worth the journey. And I have been around. In 3 days, I'll have 35 years of continuous sobriety. And I owe that to this facility. Henry had a lot to do with my early recovery. He gave me a place to stay and live, and I'm so grateful for that. I've been around Serenity House ever since.
How did you get the retreat started? You mentioned that you had an experience, but how did you get it going?
With the suggestion of my sponsor early on, 2 months into my second attempt at this program, I mean, I couldn't even think straight. I couldn't function. Society was this scary factor to me. I was just crippled emotionally, socially, everything. And he suggested that I go on this retreat, which I wanted to start following suggestions and doing what I'm supposed to do instead of what I wanted to do. And I went on this, it was the Way Back In retreat, and it was up at the Villa Desiderata. And there was 50 people there that I didn't know. My sponsor was the only one that I knew. And I was trying to fit in, and I was trying to BS everybody. You know, if you can't dazzle them with your charm, baffle them with your BS. And that's what I was doing as usual. And they weren't buying my BS. And I was getting kind of aggravated because nobody was paying attention to me. And I kind of realized, hey, there's something real familiar about this. And I wanted to leave, but it was a 40-mile walk home.
Yeah.
And I decided to stay, and I'm glad I did, because on Friday night, Laria, she was one of the facilitators, did a meditation, a visualization meditation. And I had an experience in that I ended and God began. And it was so profound. I really can't get through it without crying, because
I
it
won't make you
was
cry today.
life-changing. And I just came face to face with me as an addict, and I realized I could not stand this guy. And I don't know. I just said a little prayer, God, please help me. I don't know what to do. And just this sense of awe or something happened. I felt like somebody took off the top of my head and poured warm oil, and it went all the way down to my toes and filled me up. And as it was filling me up, it felt like coffins were coming out of my tear ducts. I was crying so hard. I didn't stop crying for 3 days. I mean, I was sobbing. I was the guy everybody remembered in the corner crying. And I don't know, I just, something happened to me that throughout the course of the weekend, my tears changed from guilt and shame to joy, because I knew, I didn't just believe, I knew that this program was going to work for me. And I just got a free get out of hell card, and I knew it. And I was so happy. The tears were of joy, and I just couldn't stop crying. And before that, I made a commitment to the God of my understanding that if you get me out of this one, I was ODing again. And I asked myself, do you want to live or do you want to die? And I realized I did not know how to live. I was 38 years old, and I was a 12-year-old kid in my mind, and I did not know how to be responsible or carry on adult activities. And it just, life scared me. And I decided that I wanted to live, but I didn't know how to be an adult, to be responsible. And I just, if you get me through this one, you know, it was one of my last foxhole prayers. He got me through that, and I committed to going to 6 meetings a week, which I did religiously. I knew that the solution to my problem was around these tables, and I came back with an open mind and following suggestions, of which my sponsor suggested I go on this retreat. And because of that experience, I went to retreats every 6 months, the Way Back In retreat, and I just committed to that. It was just so profound and life-changing for me.
Can you give a brief, kind of maybe for anyone who's interested, what that weekend looks like? So if I'm going to that retreat for the first time, you know, what are we getting into with that retreat?
There's a kind of a pattern that takes place, and Friday night's always going into the past. Those who forget the past are destined to repeat it. So I bring them down memory lane, what it was like in the morning, what happened, and we get into the solution, and then into the kind of logic of recovery, and then Saturday nights into the spiritual, hopefully. And it's something that Luria kind of gave me this pattern of how to make it flow and stuff. And she told me that every retreat has a different spirit to it.
Mm.
And that I really agree with wholeheartedly. The first retreat I did at the villa was for the Serenity House guys. And it was in 1996. And I got a weekend that I could have the retreat. And I was like a mother hen. There was probably 18, 19 guys from the house that were going on this thing. And it was something that I was taking care of everything and everybody. And one guy on Friday night, 20 minutes into the retreat, stood up and he started swearing that he wasn't going to put up with this anymore. And I'm like a mother hen trying to chase him and follow him and trying to, what's the matter? What's the matter? You know, I'm trying to solve his problem, whatever. And well, took about 15 minutes of that, and I just said, well, get out of here. And I was so angry.
If anybody's ever had to wrangle 18 to 19 alcoholics or addicts in early recovery, I have. It's not fun. But the next question is, people can get involved, right?
Yes,
So
they can.
there's ways that we've been working on funding some of these retreats. If someone is interested in maybe going or maybe even providing a donation or something, how can they do that?
Well, they can go to our website, hopeoutreachretreats.com, and there's a donate tab on there that we can donate. We post the different retreats. We've got one coming up in a couple of weeks up at Bennett Lake, Wisconsin, which is a beautiful facility. That's the Guild House retreat, but Al Anderson, he's the director over there. He's combined both houses and wants both houses to partake of all the retreats. So
Yeah.
instead of 2 retreats offered, we offer 4 retreats a year. And you can donate and or you can attend. There's a registration button on there that you can register. And this one here is a co-ed retreat. And it's something that I've been doing this one probably 18 years, but I've been doing the retreats for 27 for the Serenity House. And it's just something that I love being a part of. The Hope Outreach was founded because the first 2 times I could not afford, it was only $40 back then, but I couldn't afford to go and my sponsor paid my way. So I got the idea when I got into recovery that Serenity House was coming for like 3 years and they tripled in size from 4 to 8 to 16 to 32 people. And at that number, they said they could no longer afford to send the guys. So I got the idea. It took me a couple of years to get it together and implement it, but I started the Hope Outreach Foundation to raise money. And we have probably a budget of about $10,000 a year currently. And we pay for guys from the halfway houses that can't afford to go on retreats an opportunity to experience it. And the retreats for me are kind of a deep dive. They're double what you're going to get at a meeting as a solution to this problem. And the fellowship that takes place is very deep and intimate, and it's just a wonderful experience. People who have come will agree to that, I'm sure. It's just a notch above what you're going to get at a meeting. And just the relationships that I've developed throughout the years with these people is just amazing. And I'm so glad to be a part of it.
And I will say, I've seen people go who were, 2 weeks into sobriety. I've seen people go who were 20 years into sobriety, and everybody gets something out of it, whatever level of recovery they're at. So I'm going to put this in the chat at the end, but also you can just see hopeoutreachretreats.com. I highly recommend, even if you can't go, maybe think about being a scholarship, giving a scholarship for somebody who can't afford to go. I try to do that when I can. And Murph, we're just so thrilled to have you, like not only, as an employee with us now, but also just as a person in recovery in DuPage. It's a real honor to be able to work with you.
I'm honored to be here, Jared. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Murph. I'll take that microphone back. Murph is now going to drive the van for us right now. So we had to get him in early. He does a great job at everything he does, I swear. All right, I'm going to stop this share. See you later, buddy. Okay. So now we're actually going to get to our second guest presenter. As most of you already know, I don't have to remind anybody. It's August, which is Overdose Awareness Month. obviously it's a serious problem. It's become, an even bigger problem in some of our communities. We continue to see a rise in overdoses, especially from fentanyl, but not only that, dangerous new drugs like the tranquilizers that are showing up in some of the supply, which provides all kinds of new problems for those people that work in harm reduction. But the very fact that overdose awareness events that we mentioned have become bigger and more prevalent each year shows the importance of the work that's being done to combat overdose. So we're really happy here to have today Jackie Powlawski, who's the Illinois branch manager for End Overdose, which is a national organization that's working on ending drug-related overdose deaths through education, medical intervention, and public awareness. Jackie, we are so glad to have you here to talk about the work that you're doing with End Overdose. And I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you now.
Thanks, Jarrett. Hello, everyone. Like he said, my name is Jackie Powlawski. I am the Illinois branch manager of End Overdose. We're a 501c3 nonprofit that's based out in Los Angeles. And again, just to reiterate what Jarrett said, our one goal is to end all overdose deaths, and we do that by education, medical intervention, and public awareness. So essentially, we do trainings, whether that be online or through our website or in-person trainings. And we just train people to know the signs and symptoms of an opioid overdose and when and how to use naloxone. And then afterwards, we give out free naloxone and fentanyl test strips. The naloxone is just pretty much available after the training, but fentanyl test strips are always available and always free. And we have a couple chapters. Illinois, we obviously have some state chapters like Illinois, Michigan, Boston. We have a lot of college chapters. So, getting in with those important age groups. And I kind of got involved with End Overdose, just like kind of randomly, kind of just like popped into my lap. I, like many of you probably know someone who died of an overdose. One of my close family friends passed away of an overdose, and I didn't expect it to affect me so much and like have so much grief. And it was just getting to the point where like the grief was just like overtaking my life, and I just wanted to do something positive with it. And I found End Overdose on Instagram, and I was like, I know that you are based in Los Angeles, but is there anything that you know of in Chicago? And they were like, no, but you can start your own branch. And so I've been doing this for about 2.5 years now. It's pretty like slow going, surprisingly, but I think if we can just talk to 1 or 5 people, that's enough, because maybe those people will go on and tell another 5 people and like another 5 people. I have been doing a lot of work with music venues, actually. I continue my relationship with Thalia Hall out here in Pilsen. We provide them with fentanyl test strips for, the people at their shows or, whoever may need them. And that's something I want to do more, is work with more of the neighborhoods out here in Chicago. And again, it is End Overdose, Illinois, so I would love to get into the suburbs and stuff like that, because my cousin Chevy, my family friend who passed away, she's from Lake Zurich, so I would love to like do something out in Lake Zurich or something like that. Because I think it all comes down to everyone has a story. Like all of these events that we do, there's all these people who come up to me and say, this is my story, or I know this person who passed, or I'm in recovery and I think it's so cool that you're doing this. But it's crazy because, the communities that we serve is such a broad range of people, because overdose affects people aged 18 to 40. So just like getting in touch with everyone and trying to do some like education or outreach, anything like that, and kind of having people be more understanding or more open-minded is cool. Just having like open-minded conversations and reaching out to people, because I think one of the challenges is that there still is this stigma that is around harm reduction. And people think, well, because a lot of the places I'm trying to get End Overdose in is like the bars around here, or like the bars up in Boys Town or something like that. But they don't want, in my experience, they are having like a little bit of a hard time getting on board because of the stigma. So I think that's just like one of the challenges, is to like break the stigma and to just know that, you know, like this is a community thing. Everyone could be affected, anyone could be affected. It doesn't necessarily mean that you are doing whatever it is that you're doing, but it means that you could be around someone who's doing it, and you could save a life by just knowing these signs and symptoms, or simply just having the harm reduction on hand. But yeah, we pretty much are, it's pretty slow right now. I'm surprised, like we don't have many events right now, but I will be at the Serenity House event for Overdose Awareness Month. So I will be there if anyone, I would love to meet any of you. We're just trying to find, you know, we're outreach more. That's my goal, is just outreach at the moment. But yeah, the branches in Los Angeles, or like the main, I should say the main branch in Los Angeles has been having a lot of success. They're currently working with Walgreens to make sure that the staff is trained, since Narcan can be bought over the counter now. So they want to make sure that the staff knows how to use it and like all of that stuff. And I did just want to share my screen really quick to show you just the website that you could go to. So this is, it's endoverdose.net. So if you would ever want to guide someone to get some naloxone or to be certified, even get fentanyl test strips, this is where it would take you. Obviously, you can just enter the site. The naloxone, even on here, the training takes about 30 minutes. It's super quick, super easy. And so yeah, I just wanted to show you the website. But we also obviously are a nonprofit, so we take donations. Our smallest, we have more success with smaller donations, like $5 donations. So it's just like anything anyone could give is appreciated. And yeah, that's pretty much it for Silly Ol' Me.
I would love to know more about trying to get integrated into music scenes. You mentioned like
Sure.
festivals and things like that, and even like venues. Like I know Thalia Hall, and you know, I lived in the city for 12, 13 years. Like I know a lot of the venues, and you'd mentioned that there was some pushback from some of the bars and places like that, which we found that too out here. And when you think about best spots for harm reduction stuff, bar would be near the top, right? But the feedback that we get is like, no, we don't want to like invite that element in if it's not already here. Meaning like people who use drugs still, which is kind of disheartening to hear. But talk to me about going to like festivals and venues and things like that. How's that been?
Yeah, for sure. We actually just did our first festival. Kristen was with us volunteering at Heatwave Festival in June. It was an EDM festival, and it was pretty positive. The environment was pretty positive. It was awesome. I think the rave community really welcomes us and really wants us to be there and have presence there. And yeah, honestly, I've trained, I think it was like a whole management team pretty much for Chicago venues. So that includes like the Salt Shed, Evanston Space, and like a couple other, including Thalia Hall.
That's some big one.
Yeah, it's very, very cool. It was really cool. But even like putting that out there, like with people like we've worked with these music venues before, we trained these like the management. I would love to like work with you. There's pushback, of course, like we're saying, and I think it's naive also to assume that people who are adults who are going out aren't maybe partaking in some things. And you know, that's fine, but it's also like I think it's mostly a liability thing for people. Like they don't want them to come here and God forbid they overdose, and they think it's like, you know, they're liable for that. And it's like, well, we can give you things to make sure the person stays alive long enough until the paramedics get here, and then, you know, we'll the paramedics will take them and everything will be seemingly
And
okay.
good Samaritan laws too. I feel like every time we do trainings, we have to do a lot on the Good Samaritan laws, because there's still a huge subsection of people that think, okay, well, what if I Narcan somebody, they have some kind of reaction to it, and then I get sued for that,
Right.
or the cop comes and thinks I got drugs on me because I there's all kinds of questions that, some of these laws actually are there to protect you.
Yes.
But yeah, we've come across that too.
Yeah, and it's cool about the Good Samaritan laws. It's in every state, and it does vary. I've learned state by state, but in Illinois, we're pretty okay with like, I mean, you can't have an excessive amount of drugs, of course, but like, I think it does help when, someone's overdosing and they're kind of scared, like that does give them a little of a fallback. And then I do see Richard Butts has his hand up.
Richard, go for it, buddy.
Yeah, it was just funny reading some of the articles over the weekend that, they had the Narcan tent, I guess, set up at Lollapalooza. And reading that some of the lines there were just as long as the beer line.
Which is good.
Yeah, that is, whether there was just maybe people thinking it was a novelty or not, but, the fact that it was there and that people were waiting in line. And yeah, you always got to spread the news about that Good Samaritan law, because nobody can get in trouble, for trying to help somebody. That's a huge rule. And I mean, we support that at the house all the time. You cannot get in any trouble for helping somebody. You might get in trouble if you got a pound of weed with you, or, a pound of heroin. You might get in a little trouble for that, but otherwise you won't get in too much trouble.
Yes. And I think it is cool that the big festivals, especially in Chicago, especially Lollapalooza, are doing stuff like that, because the point blank period, people are dying. And it's just like, I think that's what's the most important part of having this harm reduction on hand is, these people are doing it at festivals. So why not make sure that they're safe, make sure everyone in the community is safe.
And we go just every week to a smaller musical outdoor thing here in Addison, right? And we've been going for a few weeks now. When I was there, this isn't obviously this isn't any uh-oh, you gotta mute somebody. This isn't any like huge big bands or anything. But I went through, 4 cases of Narcan in like 2 hours. The amount of people who were interested in it. Now I will say this, about 4 or 5 of them thought it was some kind of allergy nasal spray, and I had to like chase them down and let them know it was actually a opioid reversal medication. But there's an interest in it, and it used to be, we're gonna carry Narcan if we or somebody we know that we're close to is using. But now, because it is such a prevalent community issue, the way I put it to people is you could come across somebody in the bathroom at McDonald's, right? Or you could come across somebody who's overdosed, in a park. Are you capable of helping that person, even though you don't do drugs, you don't know anybody that does drugs? So we've had some success with that too.
Absolutely. And I think that's awesome too, because again, it's about community, and it's not always like, oh, this huge event that we need to make. It's just like, no, we just need to have these conversations with the people that we know and make sure that, the people who are any person has access to this stuff, because it is life-saving, and it is definitely what we need to be doing.
The other question I have before I open it up for a couple minutes is fentanyl test strips. So we've been working with those two in the past years as like our organization kind of expands some of its harm reduction stuff. And I don't know if this has been the case for y'all. I think the people who have the most interest with fentanyl testing strips are people who are not primarily opiate users. I think, ideally it's like, if you're an opiate user, you kind of probably know if you're in Chicago that there's going to be fentanyl in whatever it is that you're using. But the time I was able to frame it to people who might casually still be using cocaine, or might casually be using party drugs, or some kind of pressed pills, that's when I really, really got interest. I don't know if you found the same in the work that you've done in the city.
100%. I think that's kind of like what you're saying, like people who are using opiates, they kind of know what they're getting. And even if they were, even if they didn't know what they were getting, I still think that, to each their own. But that's who I've noticed. Yes, I agree with you. A lot of people who are casually using Coke or like doing like pills or anything. I also think that it's important to let the younger people know who are using pills that like this is kind of how a lot of people are overdosing now is with these pressed pills. So just make sure that you're testing your stuff, make sure that you're being safe, you're doing what you want to do. Absolutely, please keep doing what you want to do, but be safe while you're doing it. And I think what's scary too even is like street weed sometimes can be laced, and I think that's terrifying because that's so casual, I guess you could say. But I
Yeah,
think
exactly. Who would sometimes, just smoke weed expecting to have a fentanyl overdose from it,
right.
Weed, yeah, sweet weed, yeah. One more question I got. I'm sorry, I'm using up all the questions. So obviously they passed Narcan to be available over the counter. How are you feeling about that? Are you happy that there's going to be more ways to get it? Do you feel cautious about charging for it, because it is going to be a cost at some places? How are you feeling about that?
Definitely, it is definitely expensive because I know Narcan's about $75, give or take. But I think it's awesome. I think that's what we need. It might not be super accessible to some people, and I think that is kind of like the gray area almost. Like why are we doing it over the counter? It should just be like free, but that's just my personal opinion. But I do think it's awesome to have it just be kind of readily available for anyone to use, because you never know the circumstances or the situation. And as long as it's not being taken advantage of, like certain groups of people are getting it more than other groups of people, I think is it's awesome. And another way to thing to go on with that, even though it's not about over the counter necessarily, but like what they're doing in the, I don't know if it's in the suburbs, but I know in the city there's Narcan available in the libraries now, in a lot of public libraries. And I think stuff like that, like if we can do it over the counter, why can't we just like do it where it's accessible for everyone, and in a place where it's kind of neutral, like a library where you can just go and pick it up and it kind of is anonymous and you don't really have to interact with anybody. And I think that's something that is a big thing too, is the discretion of it all. Because some people still really want to be discreet about whatever they might be doing on the weekends.
We in the harm reduction work that we've done mostly with Narcan, and I have an announcement on that later, by the way. My three things are this, it should, in my mind, it should always be free, or at least available freely. It should be easy to access, and you should be able to remain anonymous if you want to. Like, to me, that's the three, it's like the holy trinity of access to Narcan, but we started thinking too, like, strategically, where would we put these things? If we had Narcan boxes, if we had vending machines, if we had whatever it was, where we put them? Libraries were always at the top of the list, train stations, places where people who might be unhoused and might be using still kind of move around. And we're starting to see it slowly but surely out here. Obviously, the city has got a little bit of a jump start on some of the harm reduction acceptance, but we're doing what we can, out here. I'm going to open it up just for a couple of minutes. While I open it up to the crowd, I've got a mic up here if anybody wants it. And anyone on Zoom can raise your hands. But while we're kind of setting that up, do you want to walk us through again real quick how to get these supplies from End Overdose? So if somebody wants to get fentanyl strips or the Narcan stuff.
Of course. I'm actually going to redo this. All right. That is great. And then another thing I wanted to mention while this is going, Illinois Department of Public Health doesn't allow first responders to get their Narcan from anywhere but the Illinois Department of Health, which kind of makes sense. But also, I know a lot of people like CPD, CFD, who they run out and they don't have it. And that's the people who are seeing it the most. So I think something like that would be cool if we could do that, but of course it's out of my hands, but just wanted to mention that. Okay, so if you're looking to get any supplies or get certified, go to our website and overdose.net, all lowercase, all one word. And here we could just hit like the get fentanyl test strips right here. And then it's just a little store here. And it does say like, what's it called? Like it costs money, but you can just waive that and it should be all good.
Oh, you can waive that? You can waive that cost?
Yeah, you should. That's how it's normally been.
Okay. We'll check it
But-
out.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because I'm not really sure about this, but if you did want to, here, let's see.
Oh, and it shows what everything you can detect through it. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Big screen. And let's see. They used to have a thing where you could waive that. I'm not sure if they do.
Well, we can check it out offline. We
Yeah,
can-
I'm not sure about that. I'm sorry about that. But if
That's
you do want free fentanyl test strips, you can always email me or text me. I put my information in the chat. It's just Jackie@endoverdose.net. I can get you 100 at least for free. As many
Nice.
as you want for free, pretty much, but this should be free. I'm not understanding why this is like this, but
It's okay. We'll figure it out. When I contact everybody through the email, I'll follow up with all that info. If there's a waiver or whatever. Did anybody have any questions for Jackie? If you do online, just put your tiny hand up. Questions or comments in person, if anybody's got one. Going once, going twice. Jackie, thank you so much for presenting. I know this is a busy month for a lot of us that kind of work in this field, or at least in this area of the field. So we're happy to have you here with us, right, on the 31st. So
Yes.
it'll be nice to meet you in person. And thank you again for coming to present for us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, Jackie. All right, we are now at the time of the meeting where we open it up to what you've got going on. By you, I mean you on the meeting. So what events are coming up? Does anybody else have an overdose awareness event they would like to promote while we're here? Does anybody have maybe a meeting that's in need of some support, or a project they're looking to work on? Is there, a sober event that you got coming up that would you like to promote? I'm going to go ahead and open it up now. And not everybody all at once. I say that every month.
I have one.
Yeah, I was going to say, we got stuff going on. Daniel, go for it.
We have at Sauk Valley Voices of Recovery, we have RecoverCon Saturday, October 7th. This year it'll be at NIU. Last year it was at Sauk Valley Community College out by us, so a lot bigger venue. I am the Ogle and DeKalb County ROSC coordinator. I'm very, very new to this. So it's really exciting to get that venue.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Yeah, Daniel just came on board in our region. We're up in Region 2. So he's a member of the Region 2 ROSC family. So we're happy to have him here. So everybody throw some support to their event. As we said, Daniel, if you send me some more of that info, I'll blast that out on our email list so people can attend that if they want to.
Thank you so much.
Anybody else got an event coming up? I see a hand. Marissa.
Hi, yes, I just wanted to announce that Stony Brook Center has a IOP track up and running from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Looking to expand that to 5 days a week, probably in September. But we take Medicaid as well as Blue Cross Blue Shield PPO, and we also do methadone assisted treatment, and we do have peer support MARA meeting on Saturdays from 10 to 11 for anyone who's using, methadone, Suboxone, Vivitrol to maintain their recovery. That's an open peer support. So they don't have to be a client here to attend that. So I just wanted to let everybody know that we have those up and running.
Excellent. Thank you, Marissa. Thanks for being here. Anybody else got anything? All right. Well, while you're thinking, I'm actually going to turn it back to Danny for a second. So For those of you who don't know, Danny is actually our Region 2 liaison. So Danny is a mentor liaison, meaning he meets and works with the other ROS in our region. And I thought it would be a good idea for him to monthly kind of compile a couple things that are going on in our neighboring ROS, because recovery does not end or begin in geographic areas. We're all one big ROS up here. So I'm going to turn over to Danny for a couple minutes for updates, and then I got something at the end if nobody else has got anything. So go ahead, Danny.
Thanks, Jared. And you guys just met Daniel. Daniel, welcome. Thank you. Daniel's part of one of 2 new ROS that cover 4 counties out of Sauk Valley Voices of Recovery. He's Ogle and DeKalb County, but they're also serving Lee and Whiteside, his partner Amanda, who isn't on the call right now. But she's doing great work, as is Daniel and their director, Gerald. So we look forward to working with them and hearing more about what they are doing. One of our others, Lake County ROSC, otherwise known as NERCOS, for their lead agency. They're working on their own overdose awareness event, which is the same day as ours. And they plan to highlight what happens after Narcan. So that's kind of one of their selling points right now. Heart Life Ministries covers Will and Grundy counties. They are preparing for a movie in mind event where they're looking to target youth and families, inviting anybody ages 13 and up that to watch a movie highlighting mental health. We're also talking about substance use disorder recovery. And last but not least, Winnebago County ROSC, their lead agency is EDDR, serving Winnebago County. They now have a Narcan box at their lead agency, which is awesome. And they are one of the other counties working on starting their own WhatsApp referral group like the one we got.
Excellent. Thank you, Danny. All right. So unless anybody else has anything, I just want to bring something up real quick. I just want to toot our own horn very briefly. This month, we have actually super exciting update, and it works because it's Overdose Awareness Month. But for those of you who've been coming to our ROSC since the very beginning, and there's quite a few of you who have been, know how important it was for us. One of the main goals when we started this thing was to improve access to things like Narcan in DuPage County. I felt like when we first started, we might have been a little bit behind some of the other counties, and especially the city, as far as where it was accessible. And so, our thought was like, why can't we start putting some of these vending machines in certain areas in DuPage County, right? Well, it's easier said than done, right? It's not as easy as just finding a machine and then sticking it somewhere. But I'm happy to say that this month we have actually ordered our very first Narcan vending machine that will be put in the Glendale Heights Municipal Building where their court and PD is. This could not have been done without assistance from the DuPage Health Department, who've been like a super amazing, wonderful partner for the work that we've been doing. They trust the work that we do, but not only that, they understand that we're made up of a lot of people in recovery. And so if this is a program, right, if ROSC is a big thing for people in recovery should have a say in what some of this work looks like, right? So they trust us to be able to do some of these things, which is amazing, So later this month, possibly the beginning of next month, the very first vending machine will be put in Glendale Heights. And I couldn't have done anything like that if we didn't have the support of people coming to our meetings every month and reaching out and doing collaborative work. And it blows my mind. And I just want to say that's the first, right? This is going to be a pilot. There's going to be a lot more machines that are coming in the next year. And that's just going to be one little part of what we're doing through the ROSC and the RCO. But again, I want to say, none of that work, none of that stuff would be possible without having people that come back and do this work with us every month. So we really appreciate it. And I'll stop tooting my horn here for a second. All right, I got a couple more minutes. If anybody else has anything, I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave it here for a second. Going once, going twice. All right, I'm gonna give you guys 5 minutes of your day back. However, the next meeting of the DuPage ROSC Council is on Wednesday, September 13th. We are welcoming a member of the Illinois DEA to talk to us specifically about counterfeit pills. So that is the whole topic of that presentation next month. You won't want to miss that one. Thank you again to Jim Murphy and Jackie Powlawski from Overdose. And again, I'm going to send out all kinds of info on all these overdose awareness events. We really hope to see you out here on the 31st. Everybody else, have a great day. I'm going to hang on the line for a second if anybody else has any questions. Other than that, have a wonderful afternoon.
Bye, everyone.